So now we're going to take this initial build with the information we have from the employer to build this out in the order we want to have that conversation. Now, first thing we're going to do is, since we now have a budget assumption, I'm going to come over to goals and assumptions. So now, since we know the budget goal is going to be 4% over current, I'm going to enter in our budget goal. Now we can see our new budget. And when we come back to the dashboard, notice that renewal at budget now has been automatically updated to show each plan's premium share to get us at our budget target. Now, one of the conversations we might want to have is looking at the renewal plans, but using a different premium share. So here's where we're talking about creating different proposed plan groups that are variations of plans that we already have in here. So since I want to show an alternate for the renewal, I'm going to come in here on my plan group options and make a copy of that whole plan group. So again, we can copy a plan design from one group to the other. We can also copy the whole group. Now, after copying a group, we're going to want to go up and rename that plan group. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to call this renewal with or renewal alt premium share. All right, so we're again setting up a description for our plan group, which is the same renewal, but with a different premium share. So now I'm going to go in and to get the conversation started, and that's really the key. The idea is we can come in and make changes. We might make changes to our budget assumptions, but we want enough built out to be able to start that conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and choose % employee dependent. And I'm going to start off by seeing what happens when we lock in a 90% contribution for the employee. I'm going to solve lock, click solve to budget to see how much that we can pay for the dependents, still be at budget while paying 90% for our employee. So back to plan design, we see the new premium share. We see how the employees would be impacted. Notice our plan design is at budget. Remember, when we solve to budget, we always go into combined enrollment. All right, so now I'm going to go in my 1,000 buy-up plan. Again, I'm over budget because we're still using the 70-30 premium share. And I want to incorporate that base buy-up approach where now that we have the contribution on the 2,000, I'm going to copy over the employer contribution from that base plan, and I'm going to do an employer fixed dollar. So now we're copying over the employer dollar from the fixed plan, or from the base plan. We can see what the cost of the employee would be for the buy-up. I'm going to come out of show combined enrollment, and I now have my proposed plan group that is using a different premium share. And that's really the one I'm going to use to be able to model different contribution strategies for that renewal. All right. Now, as we go through, we can go ahead and make changes to plan groups by being able to make copies of them. So the idea is here in my alternate HSA base plan, my premium share is still at 70-30. So since I now have a budget target from the employer, before I go in there to present that, I'm going to go ahead and solve that HSA plan to budget. All right. So now we can see, to get at their budget, what that HSA base plan would look like to the employees. In my 1,000 buy-up plan, I'm going to do the same thing because now we have a budget target. So I'm going to get both of these plan designs solved to budget because that's how I want to present this employer since we have that budget goal. And again, budgets aren't required. We like walking through this sample so you get an idea on how a budget might influence the way that we have that conversation with our employer. All right, so now we have our HSA plan adjusted to budget. Now again, variations of plan groups that have already been created. So we talk about the conversation we want to have, and here I've got a plan group where we're using all of our budget dollars to make those plan designs as low cost as possible. But one of the conversations that I want to have is about how we can use some of those budget dollars and put it towards funding in the HSA plan. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use the copy plan group shortcut, and I'm going to create a new copy of that same plan group. Again, I want to change the name right away. And to describe what this plan group is going to be, we're going to call this HSA base with employer funding. All right, so again, we're setting up with that name what we want to illustrate in that plan group, that conversation we want to have. All right, now notice that my plan designs, when I copied the group, got switched. Remember, you can always drag your plan designs in the order that you want just by dragging the labels around. So now I want to go into my HSA plan and I'm going to click on funding. So now I'm going to go to health savings account. And again, it's just a starting point for the conversation. So what I'm going to do is show a $500 contribution towards singles and a $1,000 contribution towards the 3 family enrollment types. All right, so when I'm done, I'm going to come back to my plan design. All right, I've got my HSA contribution here. We can see how that impacted the net out-of-pocket cost. Since I added that cost of the HSA, my plan design is over budget. And again, when we have a budget and we're working with funding, we're always one click away from getting back to our original budget number. So now we've got another proposed group. The key being it's the exact same plan designs as our original one, but I wanted to be able to show what that would look like to use some of those budget dollars for funding. I'm going to come out of combined enrollment, go ahead and close that plan group.